Have you ever seen a couple that looks so happy together? You just know it's a perfect match. You can tell by how they look at each other, how they talk to each other. And sometimes it's even pretty obvious by how much they show each other affection. But what you do and realize is that under the surface, things aren't really as perfect as they seem. I am telling you this because I was once in that very situation. I was married to the man of my dreams, and we seemed to have it all. We had a beautiful house, amazing friends, and a family who loved us. No one knew that behind closed doors, things were very different. Today, I'll be sharing with you the story of how I cheated on my husband and what happened next. It all started when my husband proposed that we take a break from our marriage. He didn't mean for it to come out like that. I mean, it was something that we had talked about before. We both knew that we needed some time away from each other to work on ourselves. At first, this idea scared me, but then I realized it could be a good thing for us. So I agreed. The problem was that neither of us had any idea how to go about doing this. So we decided to try couples counseling. Unfortunately, it didn't work out as planned. The therapist told us that we should try taking some time apart to see how we felt without each other. When she said that, I thought that she was talking about a few days or maybe a week, tops. But boy, was I wrong. She meant months. Months of being apart. That's too long. It was way too long for me to spend away from my husband. You might be wondering why I didn't just tell him that he was the only guy for me. That I didn't want to take a break from him. Well, the truth is that I didn't feel that way. Not at that moment, at least. Don't get me wrong. I loved my husband with all of my heart and still do. But I also knew that if I told him I wanted to stay together, it would have hurt him too much. I couldn't bear the thought of seeing the pain in his eyes. So instead, I let him go. Before long, he moved out and I was left alone in the house that we had built together. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. But as time went by, I began to enjoy my freedom. For the first time in years, I could do whatever I wanted whenever I wanted. I didn't have to think about anyone else's feelings or needs. It was just me and myself, and I liked it. Then one day, I met someone new. His name was David and he was everything my husband wasn't. Where my husband was shy, David was outgoing. Where my husband was calm, David was exciting. And where my husband was a little lazy, David was ambitious. He was everything I had ever wanted in a man, and I fell in love with him quickly. One night, we were hanging out at a bar, and he told me that he was moving to another state for work. I was devastated. I didn't want him to leave, but then something unexpected happened. He asked me if I would move with him. Of course, I said yes. How could I say no to the man of my dreams? A secret affair. As soon as David got the job offer, we began planning our future together. We talked about where we would live, what kind of house we would buy, and even what kind of car we would drive. He was so excited to start this new chapter in his life, and I was excited too. I knew that my husband would never forgive me if he found out what I was doing, but I didn't care. I was in love, and I was going to do whatever it took to be with the man I loved. So we kept our relationship a secret for as long as possible. I didn't tell my husband that I was dating someone else, because I knew he would have tried to stop me. And I didn't tell David that I was married, because I knew he wouldn't have wanted to be with a woman who was still married to someone else. As the months went by, my feelings for my husband began to fade away. I knew that I had made a mistake by letting him go, but I also knew that there was no turning back now. I was in love with David, and I was going to do whatever it took to be with him. Then one day, I found out that I was pregnant. I was shocked. I couldn't believe that I was going to have a baby. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to tell David or how I was gone, nor raise a baby on my own. But in the end, I decided to keep the baby and I told David everything. He was surprised, but he didn't seem to mind. He said that he would be there for me no matter what, and that he would help me raise the baby. I felt so lucky to have him in my life. He was the best boyfriend and soon-to-be husband a girl could ask for. And that's when I knew I had made the right decision by leaving my husband. Now that I was in love with someone else, all I had to do was figure out a way to get a divorce. I knew that it would be hard, but I was determined to make it work. I wanted to be with David and start a family with him, and I knew that in order to do that, I needed to get a divorce. But here's the thing. I had never been through a divorce before. I didn't know where to start or what to do. So I decided to seek professional help. I found a lawyer who specialized in divorce cases, and I hired her to help me through the process. At first, it was hard. There were a lot of papers to fill out, and a lot of things to think about. But as time went by, I got the hang of it. I learned how to negotiate with my husband and how to fight for what I wanted. And in the end, I got everything I wanted. I got sole custody of our son, and I was able to move to another state with David. I know that some people might not agree with my decision to leave my husband, but I don't regret it for a second. I am happy with the decisions I made, and I am excited for what the future holds for me. Now that I am happily married to David, I look back on my marriage and the affair that ended it, and I wonder what would have happened if I had uncheated on my husband. Maybe he would still be the same person I fell in love with. Maybe we would still be together today. But I'll never know. All I do know is that I am happy with the decisions I made. I am grateful for the opportunity to have started over, and I am excited for what the future holds for me and my family. No one. Facing the truth. After I confessed to my husband that I had cheated on him, there was silence. He didn't say a word. He just looked at me with tears in his eyes. I felt awful. I knew that I had hurt him deeply, but I had to tell him the truth. I owed him that much. It was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, but it was also one of the most important things I've ever had to do. It was important for me to be honest with him. It was important for me to take responsibility for my actions. And it was important for me to show him that I was sorry. I knew that he would probably never forgive me, but I had to try. After a while, he finally spoke. His voice was shaking. He asked me why I had done it. Why would I cheat on him after all the years we had spent together? All I could do was shake my head. I didn't have an answer for him. I didn't know why I had done what I did. All I knew was that I was sorry. He got up and left the room. I called after him, but he didn't listen. He just kept walking away from me. I felt like my whole world was crashing down around me. I had lost the love of my life. I had lost my best friend. I had lost everything. In the end, he did forgive me, but he could never forget what I had done. He could never trust me again. And I understood that. I had broken his trust and I had broken his heart. But I was willing to forgive myself. I was willing to accept whatever punishment he had for me, because in the end, he was the one who mattered most to me. If you're ever in a situation like mine, don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to tell the truth. It's always better to be honest than to lie. Thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments what you think about infidelity. Also, check out these videos and see you in the next one.